Welcome to another vintage fishing reel service video. In this episode we have a 1988 Mitchell 8210 Spincast reel. At that point in time, a lot of the Mitchells were being made in Hong Kong. So this one seems to be in good working order. Button presses in and releases, but it's just really seized up with grease. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, oh, that wasn't on very tight or tightly. Take off the nut there. Looks like there's a washer and spinner head and nice big pickup pin with no cuts on the spinner head or the pickup pin. That can go in the parts tray. And it looks like we might have an actual C-clip here rather than an E-clip. See what happens here. Yep. I'll put that there. Then we've got a metal drag washer and I guess that's, I don't know if that's Teflon or fiber, but at any rate. And then we've got our spool, and then you've got a pressure plate, and then that's definitely a transparent Teflon washer. And then you've got another one of these fiber-like, get over there, another one of these fiber-like washers. So no additional metal washers other than the pressure plate there. And then a bunch of old nasty line. Let's get that off of there. So that's now ready for the parts tray. And this one, it's usually the other way around, but less drag, you turn it that way, and more it's that way. So I'm going to just, pretty sure I had it all the way to the I'm probably going to just go ahead and take this out of there anyway. Interestingly, that, I guess because it's opposite than usual, this one actually turns out like it's supposed to, lefty-loosey. So I'll just take that out, clean that up. Get the handle nut off of here using my ancient handy dandy tool, although with the bend in that crank handle, that's probably not the best tool for that application. So there's a little locking washer and a nut there. Handle comes off, and I assume this ought to just slide out. Let's see here. There it comes. And pretty simple in here. So I'm going to pull out that's nice brass, looks brass anyway, axle shaft. And just being a little careful on the main gear shaft. This is what's really stuck, just so we can see how our anti-reverse is set up. And it's basically this little pawl here, and it looks like the pointed end kind of faces up that way, and the blunt end goes down. So I'm going to pull that off of there. And that looks pretty much like all there is to disassembly. So now we're ready to take all these parts over to the sink for a good scrubbing, especially when I get down into that where the crank or main gear shaft goes and down where the pinion gear shaft goes, so we can smooth up that operation. So I'll be back just like that. Okay, let's lay all these parts out here. And I'm going to start with polishing up the shafts here so that they move in there as smoothly as possible. Okay, and I'm going to start by get this anti-reverse pull cleaned off here. And if I remember, the blunt end faces down and the pointed end faces up. So we can take our main gear and oil it, and quite frankly get some grease on that, if nothing else, to quiet down that anti-reverse. Put that in there, check it, make sure the anti-reverse is working, and it is. And then we're ready to get some grease on our pinion gear. And a little bit of oil up underneath there. And oil the shaft. And install that. Work that in. We can go ahead at this point, I think, and put our handle back on. And the associated locking washer and the nut. Okay. Probably go ahead and put our drag back in. Put a little bit of oil on those threads. And I think, well, we should probably put a little grease on the button where it contacts the axle shaft, and then we can kind of slink this back in there where it goes. Now we can grease the shaft around which the spool goes, and we can put the pressure plate in, and it looks like let's just see here. Yeah, it looks like there's only one way that'll go in, and that is to the widest end of that goes in the head of that drag screw, and the narrow end goes in this little slot here. So we have to make sure that that larger tab fits into the drag screw. Now we're ready for our now in this case, hopefully nobody's been in here monkeying around. I haven't looked at a parts diagram yet, and I'll see if I can find one, but it's interesting. But this clear drag washer went down first, and then we had one of the fiber ones, and then the spool. Drag clicker works well. Got another fiber washer. You have a non-keyed metal drag washer. And then you have a C-clip, and there's a slot in here that does not go all the way around. So it's only got a slot on two sides of that shaft. So this can either go in that way or that way. This C-clip. Okay. Now we're ready for our, of course there's a flat side on the hole and a flat side on the shaft. We're ready for that. And then that had a washer on it. And then a nut. And I assume that's the correct nut for it, although it's a little bit unusual to have that type of nut. Usually they've got like a slit in them or something, but get that tightened on there good. And go ahead and put the cover on. I'm not going to test the drag on this. I know it's going to work. I've got it on the lowest setting right now, but we just put a little bit of oil in these and work that around good, and kind of clean out the nasty oil that comes out the other end. And if they're really bad, put a little bit more oil in, kind of wash that out, and then re-lubricate it. But it goes in clear, and if it's been used a lot, it'll come out this end pretty much black from all the stuff that's in there. But a relatively simple service for a relatively simple reel, but it looks like a nice reel. Certainly working a lot better than it did when I started. Couldn't do that when I started. This is what I would call an ultralight reel. It's rated for either 4-pound, 120 yards of 4-pound test line, or 100 yards of 6-pound test. So there you have it, a circa. Well, they started making them in 1988. I don't know how long they made them. Maybe they only made them a year. I don't know. But around 1988, Mitchell 8210 Spincast reel. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.